Okay, we're live. We are live right now. Welcome, welcome, welcome. If you're showing up right away, we are live. Yeah. All right. I'm streaming from Maui. This is windsurf coaching, high level windsurf coaching, focusing on wave sailing. Most of you guys know the drill by now. If you don't, my name is Ezzy. I'm a professional windsurfer. I'm based out of Maui. I do this every Sunday. And if you are not subscribed to the channel, to the YouTube channel. And then you don't miss these live streams. I also post non-live content. Once in a while, people can request different topics for me to cover. And I go over those topics, though most of the instruction is either in the format of the live stream or in the Facebook group. And then there's other in-person instruction that I do at the same time. Dennis, how's it going? So one last thing just about the administration, if you're joining us for the first time, is most of the discussion that goes on in the week is in this private Facebook group, Graham Ezzy's Windsurf Coaching Community on Facebook. Everyone is welcome to join it. Just fill out the questions on the membership. Steen, Dom, Island Life, it's been good. Oh, Mr. Prophet. Nice to see you joining us. Yeah, life on Maui's been good. Good to see you. It's been small waves. It looks like summertime out on the water, but it's been windy. It's been super windy. John, Mario. And so we've had lots of wind. Chris, Tomas, but kind of small waves. I can show you guys some footage. I've been filming with my new camera. This is the camera I got for Denmark, and I've been trying to film with it here. And I've been filming in some formats, some high quality formats that my computer can't really process very well. Caroline, hey. And so I don't know how easy it is for me to show you the footage, but I can pull some out. It looks like we're going to get some waves this week. But I'm also curious, have you guys been sailing? What have the conditions been like? How was it? I saw, as the chat is talking about, that part of our team competed in the Tyree event and did very well. Huge congrats to Marine for taking the win. I was really impressed with the footage from the event. And yeah, Chris, Rory, Tomas, all you guys did great. I want to hear how it felt to compete, especially for Tomas and Chris, who don't have a lot of competition experience. What did it feel like in the event? Matt, hope you guys get some wind. I know the UK has had a really difficult summer for wind, so I hope it's turning on this fall. So yeah, in the chat, Chris, Tomas, let us know how it felt to compete. What surprised you? What was difficult? What was easy? What was it like? And then for everyone else, if you sailed, how was it? Carl, nice to hear about the session at Razi. Were you working on anything in particular? Aerials? Something else? Caro, how's it going? All right. While I wait for you guys to go off in the chat, I'm going to start going through some of the footage posted in the Facebook group. I think we've got a good amount of footage to go through. Questions. Let's see. Cool, Caroline. That sounds good. All right, so first up, we've got a clip from Samuli, one of our Finnish representatives. Says, my performance at the Finnish Wave Sailing Championships and a backloop from the next morning. With the backloop, there are the usual things. I was actually going to go for a forward, but changed the plan as the wave jacked up. The usual mistakes are there, but I noticed my mast tip is almost touching the water. What leads to this, and do I need to correct? Point in case, the cameraman is planning to the opposite direction, so there's not much forward momentum as it looks. All right, interesting. Hey, Brian. Nice. All right, let's see if we can make this a little bit bigger. Content is not available right now. What does that mean? All right, I'm trying to get this loaded from Samuli, otherwise we have to watch it small. Content isn't available right now. I don't know if that's my issue or an issue with the video. Rasmus, how's it going? Hey, Ragnar-san. All right. I'm sorry, Samuli. For some reason, this won't load, so we have to watch it small. I can see it. I hope you guys can as well. All right, so we're watching this back loop going in slow motion. Samuli, you can also send me the Vimeo link. It looks like this is coming from Vimeo. Hopefully this is not my connection dying. All right, this is not playing. I'm gonna come back to this. I hope this stream is working. All right, it says we've got a good connection. For some reason this video is, oh, I guess it's coming. So I'm gonna talk about the wave riding first, and then we'll go back to the back loop. Samuli, I really like to see that you're coming higher on the wave. So this is something that we talked about when you were in Denmark, especially for these sections where you're backdooring the whitewater and really coming to the top of it. And I can really see you doing that here, where you're coming to that top of the section, you're coming high on the wave. You know, it looks like you're really picking up the speed from the wave, and looks solid. I wonder how it felt for you, and what you were doing in your head compared to before, or if you were not even thinking about it and you were just going out and doing what you do. But it looks like you're coming a lot higher on the waves, and it looks good. So stoked to see it. For the back loop, you mentioned forward momentum. You don't want a lot of forward momentum. In the back loop, it's a lot easier if you have no forward momentum, actually. So we go up. There's not much height, which is fine. You can do small back loops, little baby back loops. Kind of missed the end. I mean, it looks like you're pretty close to landing it. I mean, the main thing that I see, and it's difficult from this angle, but it looks like you could take off more upwind. It looks like you could take off more upwind. So let me know if that's possible or not. But a more upwind takeoff would help you get these last few degrees of rotation and help with the landing. These small back loops are kind of tricky. They're kind of difficult. And you really want to take off super upwind in order to get them. And then kind of you can push the sail forward as you're coming down to stop that rotation, so that you don't sort of trip over the board when you land. Marco Edwards, good to see you guys. So similarly, let us know if that makes sense. And yeah, I'm really impressed with the wave riding. It looks like you're taking some of those principles that we're talking about and putting them into action on the water. All right, so here's the bracket from Tyree. I see in the chat you guys are saying that you posted some comments here. I was following these. I'm not sure if I saw though your competition reports. All right, so Chris says, number one takeaway, the best thing about competition is the free sailing once you're done. The whole event was starboard tack, my devil's tack, and I had a feeling that it's Manny's favorite side, but I might be wrong. The single elimination was light, sight off. The heat, I got 2 scores, but they were no real wave rides. I crashed a lot and lost 3 or more minutes being stuck in the impact zone, and I was dragged downwind, tried to stay calm, but this was really nerve-wracking. At the end, I was too far downwind and not at the peak. My opponent scored a proper wave, had a bigger sail. Self-evaluation. I should have sailed more before the heat to accustom to the conditions, and especially the tack, tricky because we were the first one and it was an early start. I should have gone for the bigger sail, and I should have walked upwind after I was caught on the inside and dragged downwind. The head judge actually recommended that right after our heat. Bummer. Should have taken a mediocre wave just to get some scores. I sailed for quite a bit after the heat and got better at finalizing it with my first proper aerial. Nice. Double elimination. All right. Day and night difference in the comparison to the first one was close heat. I did get in the scores, though I still crashed right before I wanted to hit the ramp for a high jump. Lost some time there, which perhaps ultimately has cost me the advance. I tried to do the box breathing to calm, and overall I really tried to stay calm, relaxed, which worked out for a bit. Not completely, though. Self-evaluation from Chris. Again, I would have needed more time before the heat, perhaps leading to less crashing. Yeah, this is this. I understand all of this, Chris. This reads familiar to what competition is like. One of the rules of competition, which I didn't talk about before, but actually is very important, is you want to be on big gear. So in competition, you want to be on a little bit of a bigger sail, a little bit of a bigger board than what you would normally ride. And so in order to be used to that, you just have to always sail on bigger stuff. And then because you're training on it, it feels natural. But you need that little extra bit of power because in case the wind drops or there's current, and you just need to be able to get around. And that's one of the big lessons when you first start getting into competition, is that you need to get used to the big gear. And so you kind of get used to sailing a little bit overpowered. I'm not sure if Ben Profit's still in the chat, but you know, he's a veteran competitor and is used to all of this, you know, sailing with a bigger sail, bigger board. And then the trick is that you train with it, so then it doesn't feel unnatural. Because if you're only sailing with it during the competition, during the heats, then it will feel unnatural. But if you spend your year, or a significant part of your year, training on the bigger gear, then when you get to the competition, it's just normal. But you need to be used to sailing with those big sails, a little bit overpowered. The big boards definitely is important if competition is your focus. Yeah, cool. And then, you know, competition is difficult, and it comes down to practice. And I think doing these competitions, it really helps you to appreciate what the World Cup guys are going through, because you know, it's not just about being able to do some tricks or some moves or whatever. It's about being able to do it under pressure, overpowered, in shit conditions in 10 minutes. And it's tricky. It's definitely tricky. It's not easy. And I think that's where the fun is. Like most things in windsurfing, you know, it's about taking on that challenge. It's cool that there are amateur events. I hope there are more amateur events popping up around Europe, because I think it is a really good way to improve your sailing. Even if you don't enjoy competition that much, if you do at least one of those events a year, I think it will really push you and motivate you then for the rest of the year, and it will reveal certain things about your sailing. And then, like Chris said, the sessions, once you get kicked out, once the contests are over, are always epic. So that's also quite fun and almost worth all the effort. Tomas, I'm going to go through and read yours off the stream, and I'm going to respond to it. And then, Chris, I'll also type a response in the Facebook group. It sounds like you guys had a good time, lots of learning experience. I'm going to move on to some of the other comments. If we have a bit more time, I'll come back to this on this stream. But yeah, it's cool. I love seeing you guys getting the taste of competition. Ben says you need to get upwind. Also, getting to the waves quicker and having the pick makes a big difference. Yep. Again, Ben is a veteran competitor, and not just a great competitor, but also a sort of an academic of windsurfing competition. And so he's a great resource for what to do and what works. All right, next up, we've got this video from Chris. This is about the front loop. Sometimes I manage to get the full rotation, but often I end up like this. Of course, with a bigger ramp, it's easier, but I'm puzzled why this is happening. Since some people do speed loops over nothing, perhaps I need to sheet in more to get a faster rotation. So as someone already pointed out in the comments, it looks like you need to be going faster and with a bit more speed. And so what you can do is really pump the sail to get as much power and speed going as possible. And so you've got a bit of speed here, but it looks like you could go with a little bit more speed. And so really pumping up to get fully planing and like full power in the sail before you hit the ramp. And then when you do hit the ramp, really exaggerating this extension. So you get a little bit of that pop, but when it's marginal like this, you really want to exaggerate that extension. So like what I say is you go from the small to the X to the ball. Right? So you're going small to the X. So like you go this tall X, right? With your whole body, where you're really pushing up with your arms, straight with your legs. And so you start doing that, Chris. And by the way, this rotation looks really good. I can see a lot of improvement in your forward rotation over the last year. But you can even push off more and then really exaggerate the motion and really think about throwing the sail up into the air, like above you. So that's like what the X is, right? You're throwing it up above you rather than in front of you to help get you a bit more height in the rotation. So I think that will help. Like it looks, I mean, your form is great, right? This is a really nice forward. You're throwing the gear a little bit just forward rather than up, and getting that up, pushing up will help just to get a bit more rotation in these conditions. And then also pumping up, so getting a bit more speed beforehand, a bit more power in the sail. And you do this a little bit. Yeah, but really, I think really throwing that sail up will help. And then you can also tuck up your body a little bit more, right? The smaller your body is, the more compact, the quicker you'll rotate. But it does look like you've really improved a lot in these conditions. Another thing is when the conditions are like this and you're trying to get a bit more whip in your rotation, it can help to take off more into the wind. So I really recommend that people learn forward loops going downwind, and that helps because there is actually less pull in the sail. But in conditions like this where you're slightly underpowered, if you're going a bit upwind, and the key here is that you have to already have the proper forward rotation, because if you don't have the technique, you're going to run into problems. You can, just catapult straight into the water, and it's harder to sheet in, right? So you've got to have the right technique. But if you do, then going a bit more upwind can help you get a bit more whip in the rotation. But it's a feeling thing. You've got to feel what works in those conditions with your sail, with the rig. And basically you want to have because you're trying to get this rotation, right? So you want to have as much power in that sail as possible that then you can use to help you get the rotation, right? And so that can be, you pump up to it, going a little bit more upwind. You don't want to be going straight upwind. That's harder. But if you're going way downwind, then you also have less power in the sail, and there's less whip in it. So Chris, does that make sense? There's some other great comments here. I haven't had time to go through all of them, but I will. All right, Mario has got a comment about cross training. I find it very beneficial to longboard surf in terms of positioning and timing, and a lot of similarity to lee side riding with the windsurf board. Yeah, good observation. Good observation, Mario. I think any kind of surfing, whether you're doing normal shortboard surfing, longboard surfing, stand-up paddle surfing, any of these kinds of surfing where you're riding waves, even boogie boarding, without a sail, it forces you to connect to the power of the wave, which is really important. It forces you to really pay attention to your placement on the wave, because there's only certain places where you can catch the wave, right? Unlike in windsurfing where you can catch it anywhere. And as I say just over and over and over again, the most important part of riding a wave is your timing, your placement, and your wave selection. If you have those three things, even if you don't have the ability, you can ride the waves well. And even if you do have this skill and you don't have those three things, you're not going to be able to ride waves well. So surfing, longboard surfing, shortboard surfing, stand-up surfing, whatever it is, all help train your brain for timing, placement, wave selection. And it just helps connect you with the power of the wave, right? Because with windsurfing, we've got the wind and the wave power. And riding a wave, as I keep saying, is taking that energy that's in the ocean and transferring it to board speed. So it's really important to have that connection. All right. So Caro asks if anyone is competing in the Danish Open next weekend. I will not be there, but maybe some of our other Danish competitors will be. I'm not sure. So Chris with another question about Isle of Lewis / Thurso. I'm currently on the Isle of Tiree, and I'd like to check out Thurso or the Isle of Lewis next week, depending on the forecast. Is there anyone here in this group who would be keen to join, or any locals who know those places? I don't know these places. I've heard good things about both. Ben, if you're still in the chat, you want to give us a little lowdown about Lewis and Thurso? Which one is better? Are they worth going to? I've heard good things, but again, I haven't been to Scotland, so I'm not an expert. If anyone else in the chat has some experience, I'd love to hear it. Ben, if you're still there, I'd love having your insight to anything, but especially this. All right, so if you can't get on the water this week, watch some windsurfing clips. This is something that I really recommend to everyone and is so easy to do, and I don't see people doing it enough. If you can't sail and you want to improve, the easiest way to train is just watching windsurfing. Your brain sucks up what it's seeing, and then it can implement it on the water. Visualization, understanding the outside of what's happening is so important. So watching windsurfing, even if you do have wind, is a great way to improve. You know, I love wave riding, so one of my favorite clips is this one of Angulo in Cabo Verde, which I think has amazing power and flow. This is an Umi clip, and I love seeing all these clips that you guys posted. Some of these are my favorites as well, and some of them I'd never seen before. So super cool. We should create a directory of video clips. If anyone wants to take that on with me, let me know, and we can create a Google Doc organized with the different clips. Because, like I said, this is one of the best ways to learn when you're not on the water. Yeah, Thorpe always seems to know about these different spots, whether it's Scotland or Iceland or wherever it is. Thanks for that advice, Ben. That's good advice. Timo as well. Timo amazes me. He'll come to, I don't know, halfway around the world for a 2-day forecast. All right, so we've got this nice back loop. All right, now we've got a question from Moritz. Hi, folks. I've been hesitating for months now to post my coaching question because I'm hardly able to watch the live coaching, and neither do I have any footage of myself. However, I'll give it a try. Yep, give it a try. Ask your question. There's no question that's too basic or too advanced, or at least we haven't found it yet. Are you going to be the one to stump me? My question is about the bottom turn, and in specifics, the lay down bottom turn. I would like to take a next step in my bottom turn and learn to really lay down the sail. Not so successful so far. So, 1, what would you choose to do for the lay down bottom turn? I'm not sure if when would you choose to do a lay down bottom turn? Okay, got it. And what are the fundamental tips? By the way, I've been trying 360s, but when on the waves, it feels so different. Greetings from the Netherlands. Greetings. Good questions. Great questions. Lots of discussion here, which I haven't followed. So I might be saying some things that other people have been saying. So the thing with the lay down bottom turn is that sometimes it's functional and sometimes it's not. And what I want all of you to be paying attention to is what the board is doing more than what the sail is doing. And the most important thing in the bottom turn is that the board is on the rail and that it's accelerating and getting you to a position where you can do your top turn. Sometimes having a lay down helps with that, sometimes not. And so there's different technique. And so a lay down is not always beneficial. It's not always better. And there are some people who do a lay down and they keep the board flat, and then they're just depowering everything, and it's actually hurting their wave riding. And you can look at 2 different styles of bottom turn. You've got the Jason Polikow bottom turn, which is super laid down, super radical. And you've got the Keith Tabua bottom turn where the sail's a lot more upright, but he's still getting the board on the rail. And so both those techniques are working to get the board on the rail. In general, when you're talking about when do you do the lay down bottom turn, in general, the lay down bottom turn fits more with down the line conditions. It doesn't fit so well with the onshore conditions. You can see some examples of some guys doing a little bit of a lay down when it's onshore and then flipping the sail into that clew first stance after an initial lay down, and they kind of keep that open sail posture until they hit the lip. But again, so I think the most important thing is to just focus on the board. And so getting to the next step in the bottom turn is a lot about just making sure that your board is on the rail and that you're really using the board. Let me see if I've got some pictures. Oops. Hold on. All my crazy tabs. All right, let's see. I think I've got some bottom turn pictures we can go through. So, So these are not really what I wanted to show. Let me see. I've got another one. I know I've got some here from Cy Crowther that show really like a lay down bottom turn. But the point is not that you need to do the lay down bottom turn. The point is that you need to focus on the board. And you need down the line conditions, I think, really to make it worthwhile to start working on a lay down. bottom turn. And then as long as your hips and everything, oh, so I don't have it in here. Huh. Let me just see if I can find some of these pictures. So, if I can't find this, I'll just post it in the group. But basically, Moritz, what you really want to focus on is your hips and making sure that your hips are pointed into the turn like we're talking about. And all right, I can't find this. I will I'll post it in here. But basically what I'm trying to say is that I think that you really want to be focusing on the board more than the sail, and sometimes the sail will lay down, sometimes not. And it doesn't really matter as long as the board is doing what you want it to do. If you really want that lay down feeling, it's important, I think, that you're in sort of side shore or down the line conditions, side off. And then if your hips are in the right position, right, that's something that we talk about a lot, right, is making sure that those hips are pointed in the direction of your toes, making sure your hips are pointed into the turn. If your hips are in the right position and you're leaning forward with your body, you know, we're talking about that power stance where you've got the bend in your knees, you're bend at the hips, and you're just leaning forward in that power stance, almost like a power weightlifting stance, to get that board on the rail. Then, you know, you have the option of either kind of keeping the sail open and it's more upright and you're leaning over in that empty space, or then you're just pushing it forward and that sail is leaning in front of you. So once you get the body position correct, then it's not so difficult to get the lay down, because then you're just either you've got the sail sort of next to you or you've got it in front of you, which is then the lay down version, and you're just sort of pushing that in front of you. But you've got to focus on the body position first in order to make that possible. Otherwise, you'll be doing a lay down that's similar to a lay down jibe, where you're just depowering the sail and the board's not really on the rail. And that might look cool, but it's not. It's actually detrimental to your wave sailing, because then you're just depowering and you're not on the rail. So I hope that makes sense. I'm going to find some more pictures and post them in here, Moritz. It's a great question. It's a great question, because I see a lot of people really focus on the lay down bottom turn, and it you know, it definitely looks cool in the pictures. But again, the focus really needs to be on the board and what the board is doing, and then make sure you've got the right conditions to do it. I saw Thomas in the chat says that when it's onshore, he tries to lay down the sail against the land, which can be something really interesting to try. But again, I think, and Thomas, it's been a while since I've seen you windsurfing, but I think that really, in order for that to work effectively, you've got to have your hips. You got to have your hips in position. Otherwise, it looks like one of these lay down slalom jibes, which is not what you want to be doing in a bottom turn. Greg, I see you're joining us, preparing a lecture for the weekend. Good luck. All right, Paul posted this video from Tyree. Solid. I like this. Let's see if I can expand this. That didn't work with the other one. Must be an issue with my Facebook. Can we change the quality? Oops, I clicked the wrong thing. We're going to insights. We don't want that. All right, now we've got to go back all the way down. So, Paul, that looks really solid. Let's look at what I like about it. So I like that you've got that acceleration and sort of smooth rail on the bottom turn, And I like the timing. So you're looking to hit one of these little whitewater corners like we talk about finding, because these are great sections because they're easy to time and you can do dynamic turns on them. All right, here we are, back again. Yeah, so this is a success here. We've got, I can see the acceleration, I can see the bend in your knees and your body, and you're leaning back to get that high five. Really getting that high five placement on this section. Looks good. I like it. The only thing I would say is you don't really want to be catching waves from behind like this. Looks difficult. Looks like the waves are kind of small that day, but in general, you want to be catching them on their face. And then, again, this is solid. The only other thing I would add is staying a little bit longer on this cutback rail. You can push on that cutback a little bit longer. So you're pushing here. It's super dynamic. You can keep pushing to come back even more, and it will look even more dynamic. Shoot you out with some more speed. But looks good. Jacob, is it Jacob or Jacob? Jacob. Just wanted to let you know that I landed my first front loop today. Thanks for all the many tips in this community. My advice, keep trying and make a lot. And always look back over your shoulder. Congrats. Love to see it. Nice. Who's working on front loops? Are you working on front loops? Put something in the chat. Put an emoji of what it feels like to be working on front loops in the chat. All right, Maureen's got a question about aerials, and she posted this video which has an aerial clip from her, and I want to get the footage, Maureen. I want to get the real footage because it's a little bit hard. There's some editing here, and it's not so nice to go through your aerial. It's a very radical aerial. I really like what you're doing, and it's so close. It's so close. But let's see if you can get that footage, and then I'll talk about it on the next stream. I did some screenshots that I was going to talk about. I was going to do a comparison, so we could talk about this a little bit. So here's your aerial, Maureen. So you're coming up to this meaty section. I love to see it. Nice. I love these emojis, by the way, in the chat. So there's this meaty section that you're going for. Love to see it. I think the biggest thing is really about the takeoff, and that your weight could be a little bit more forward or a little bit more directed in front of the wave. And that's kind of it. I mean, I know a lot of people in the comments are talking about hand positioning and what you're doing with your sail in the air. And that stuff matters. But I think less to just the initial impact. This is a great meaty section. Were you scared? Maureen, are you in the chat? Were you scared on this one? I mean, this is super solid. You can put your hands closer together. I think not closer together, farther apart. I think the three big things, Maureen, is I would say don't do such a deep bottom turn. So when you're doing such a deep bottom turn, one, it's hard to carry a lot of speed, and two, the angle that you're coming up to the lip, it's throwing you more back. Your energy is going more sort of out the back of the wave, Whereas if you're higher on the wave, you do a more shallow bottom turn where you don't come out so far, where you really stay on the face of the wave. Which, if you start paying attention to this, you'll see that guys that are landing aerials and landing them back and front, most of the time they're doing a bottom turn that is super shallow, and it doesn't go in front of the wave really at all. They stay on the face of the wave the whole time. And so, and there's a reason for that, which is that one, you keep more speed. Two, your energy is traveling, your momentum is traveling more in a way that wants to land back in front of the wave, rather than if you do this big U-shaped bottom turn. Now, the U-shaped square bottom turns to aerial are more radical, and they're super cool when you get them, but they're harder. They're a lot harder. So if you're learning aerials, I recommend staying on the face of the wave, more shallow, keeping that speed, and coming up and hitting the section. By the way, I love these emojis. Nice. And Linus, you landed your first forward. Congrats. We've got to, with this community, you guys are the most important part of this community, and I love how involved you've been, with Dom and Fabrice taking over the historian roles, and Tomas and Chris, Kevin taking on some of the administrative stuff. And if anyone else wants to be involved and has an idea for how to be involved, let me know. We can make it happen. I love the idea of having some kind of, I don't know, I love seeing this with these emojis and seeing what you guys are working on. Some kind of living document with what you're working on, who's working on forwards, who's working on what. We can really then help push each other and whatnot. The other document I wanted to make was the video loop one, not video loop, just the videos, the video windsurfing videos that exist online. So if you want to be involved with any of those things, with a role in the group, let me know. Mario says, Ariel, is it correct to say that she should show more bottom of the board to the wave? It seems very much on the rail in the impact. Let's go back to the impact and see. So Mario makes a good point. So much of an aerial or cutback, or any of these things, you really want to have the bottom of the board presented to the wave to pick up that power and get that projection. Yeah, Mario, a little bit. I think that's a good observation. But I think that it's, in order to get that, just staying higher on the wave and doing that more shallow bottom turn makes it easier than to get that board positioning to capture a little bit more of the high five. But this is super radical. I really like this aerial marine. This is super solid. So what I want you to do, and there's another sequence from Lucas from the same video, a little bit less radical, but he does land it, that I want to go through in a second. But just now, the notes to take are higher on the wave with your bottom turn, wider grip, and really think about coming back to land in front of the wave. All right, now let's check out Lucas. So this is from the same video, so I assume the same day. Way less radical, but he lands it. You can see here that he's barely doing a bottom turn, right? I mean, his weight is back. He's basically not bottom turning, right? He's kind of staying on the safe face of the wave, aiming for this section here. Comes in, hits it, really angling with his weight and projection somewhere over here in front of the wave. He's getting that high five. You can see the bottom of the board is presented to the moment where the lip is throwing. And then it just kicks him into the air. He sheets in a bit, which you don't even really need to sheet in that much. I mean, sheeting in will give you more projection, whatever. But the point is that it's happening with the wave, not with what you're doing with the sail. And it's very different than a jump. You're getting this kick from the wave. You're not jumping like you would off a ramp. And if you do jump like you would off a ramp, then you can disconnect from the power of the wave and it doesn't work. And then he lands it back in front. You can see that he's looking in front the whole time. His vision is somewhere here, and that's where he's thinking about putting his weight. But really staying high on the wave will make a big difference, Marine. All right. This is a question from a little bit ago. People are still answering. Cool to see. All right, Nikita's got a question. I'm new to wave sailing, and I wonder if one can develop any useful skills with wind skating or other on-land exercises during the interseason. Any recommendations or tips? So this is an area where I am not an expert, but I know there are a lot of wind skaters and skaters in the group, so I look forward to the different answers. Chris, Felix, if you guys are listening, why don't you give your opinions, because I know that you both do a lot of wind skating or just normal surf skating. And yeah, I think that staying in shape, watching a lot of videos is important. Practicing surfing if you can. Those are all great. And then I think the wind skating and the surf skating are also really helpful. But again, I don't have much firsthand experience. So this is really interesting, and I want to hear from anyone that does have this experience. So we should add some hashtags here. I sometimes forget, but it's always important to add hashtags. So what are we calling this? Let's call it training. Ooh, spelled that wrong. Training. Dryland training, I think. Yeah, dryland training, and then wind skate. All right, save. Mario's got a question about his camera. I don't have a mast mount for my cameras. I'm just using like the harness mounts and helmet mounts and stuff, so I'm not the one to answer this. But Mario, hopefully from these 10 comments, you have some useful information. And then once you try it out, I want to hear your feedback. What do you think worked? What didn't work? Here's a little clip that Kaileni filmed of me from the other day. Just a little cutback. I don't know. It's nothing special. Again, the waves have been small at Hokipa. So just a little off the lip in front of Kai. Mario is improving his push loops and aerials. Love to see it. There's not really a coaching question in this. So I think Mario is kind of happy with how his progress is going. What I want to see, Mario, I'm going to give you coaching anyway, whether you like it or not, is really looking forward. So instead of looking down at the sail and pushing on the sail just in front of you, what you want to be thinking about is driving your hands. Excuse me. I've got a little bit of a runny nose. What you really want to think about is driving those hands and the sail towards the nose of the board, so in front of you. So you're not just pushing on it downwind, also in front, like where you're going. So really driving the sail, driving both your hands towards the nose of the board. So you're really pushing out against both of it and driving it up in front of you. And that will really help with the snappy completion of your push loops and will give you a lot more control. For the aerial, it looks like you really want to come, looks like your timing's a little bit off. You really want to come to get this bottom of the board in this little curl section, right? We talk about getting the bottom of the board in that curl to toss you forward. But good work. These are great pictures. I can see you're trying and making progress. Nice to see. All right, we got some comments from the chat. Chris says, every sort of board sport helps in my opinion. Windsurfing is quite nice to learn, or wind skating is quite nice to learn duck jibes, etc. to get the muscle memory. It teaches you a lot about commitment. Surfing does, or skating does, and surf skate helps you get ready for all the rail work. Rasmus says, to learn turning on a wind skater, you need one with kicktail that allows you to lift the front truck and carve pivot off the back truck. That mimics tight top turns, both on the surface. Both truck on surface mimics carving. Makes sense. All right, we already talked about these stalled forwards. Here's Axel. Speak of wind skating. So Axel does a lot of wind skating. So Axel, I want to hear your comments on the other post. Some nice pictures from Martin in Caro with Mika. This is Mika sailing, I believe. Cool. All right. If you have not written me and you're interested in doing a clinic in Cape Town, write me, because I'm trying to plan my dates. And so thank you to everyone who has written me and has been patient. I'm trying to figure out, it's a little bit tricky juggling with the family and whatnot, and juggling what dates work for different people, because some people are only available end of January, some people are only available earlier, and so I'll probably try to do something. Maybe there's enough demand for 2 clinics, and maybe it works for me. I'm not sure, but write me, let me know if. Oh, excuse me. I don't know where this little sniffle came from. Anyway. Looking forward into next week. I hope you guys are getting good conditions. I am expecting good conditions on Maui. And yeah, I'm really excited about that. It's been since March last year that I had good conditions, or February last year that I had good conditions on Maui. So it's been, or I guess it was this year in February, March. So I'm really looking forward to it. One little piece of windsurfing wisdom that I've been conscious of lately is that the more, so we always talk about timing and placement, and all of those things are really important. The larger your bag of tricks is, right, the more different things you can do off the top. If you can do carving turns, you can do aerials, you can do floaters, you can do whatever. The secret is that the less that timing matters, because as you come to the top of the wave, you just adapt what you're going to do to what the wave wants you to do. So one of the ways to get better at timing is to improve that bag of tricks, because then you can adapt to whatever the top of the wave is doing when you get there, if that makes sense. So it's one of the reasons why it's important to work on the carving turns, to work on the aerials, to work on hitting these backdoor sections, to work on whatever else, the one-handed turns. The more you're able to do, then the more that you can just react to the wave, which is how we want to approach riding waves, right? We want to, instead of projecting what we want to do onto the wave, saying, oh, I want to do an aerial or I want to do a 360, is we're reading the wave, we're seeing what the wave wants us to do, and that's what we're doing. All right, guys, have a good week. I want to see your footage. I want to see your photos. I want to see your questions in the group. If you want to take on some kind of role in the group, let me know. Otherwise, I'll see you next week, Sunday, and I've got some other stuff planned, but I'll announce it in the group. I'm thinking of doing a Zoom board setup thing. Like, we all get together on Zoom and I help you guys set up your boards for like an hour. I think I would do that before the next live stream. So like at 8, if you're in Europe, at like 8, so like an hour before. But I gotta see some of the technical stuff. I want to see if I can get this camera set up streaming, because I don't think I can do that with the computer and showing the boards and everything. All right, guys, have a good week. Zero, to answer your question, at the moment, there's no plan to make a 10-meter foil sail. Take care. Have fun. Get some wind. If there's no wind, watch some clips. Let us know what you like. All right. Take care. And see you on Sunday.